Hey folks, welcome to another portfolio update for the entire month. This is portfolio update number 3, and I apologize for the slight delay. If you watched my last video, you'll know that I was on vacation with my family, and where we were, the cell service wasn't that great, but let's face it, you shouldn't really be doing a lot of video shooting when you're away with your family. So I chose only to get my bi-weekly update done, which will be here on the screen if you want to go check that out. Of course, there's lots to get covered off here in this video for the last month, so we're going to jump right into things. My name's Darren. This is the Crazy Canuck Investor, where I try to make investing a little bit easier for beginners, because let's face it, there's nothing that gets you ready for that first day of your investing journey, and I do it by sharing my journey with all the ups and downs along the way. So let's get started with helping you get started with your journey and jump right into the entire portfolio. All right, so we're going to be using Passiv. Passive is the tool that I use to track all of my accounts in one place. It's a fantastic tool for that. And we're going to break down each account and go through each one, looking at each activity throughout the month. Now, the reason that I started this video series is my channel was started to highlight me as a beginner investor, starting to invest in my TFSA from day one to maxing that account right out. I'm 51 years old, and when I started investing, I'd missed out on a lot of investing time, and I realized there's probably a lot of people out there like me. But highlighting my TFSA and my RRSP doesn't give a full snapshot of all of the investing that we have going on, and so I wanted to take the opportunity to share that on a monthly basis. But like I said, the focus is that TFSA. So if you want to find out what's going on with my TFSA or my RRSP, go into the playlist, find my TFSA portfolio updates, and you can watch those. I also include a lot of other information in those videos, so you're going to get a little bit of information in one as well as those portfolio updates. All right, right into the portfolio. Now, the first part in this you're going to see is the total contributions that we have into the account. It's currently sitting at $27,075. But, caveat, this is not correct. Passiv has a glitch, and unfortunately it's not tracking all of my money movements. And let me explain that a little bit so everybody has an appreciation. So Passiv brings all the accounts together in one place so you can see everything. I use Questrade and Wealthsimple as my primary brokers in my investing. And quite some time ago, I had my wife's RRSP in Questrade, but I moved it over to Wealthsimple, and that was to take advantage of the benefits that you get based on the amount of money you have. There are 3 tiers, and we were in the bottom tier. And in order to take advantage of US accounts, we need to have more money, so I moved my money over to Wealthsimple. I also like the Wealthsimple platform, and so I moved that money over. But that left one account in Questrade. Now, the beauty of Questrade is that Questrade allows me to have a free subscription to Passiv. Now, you can use Passiv as a free program. However, it doesn't have all the benefits that the regular one does, which costs $99. Now, if you look in the video description below, and I will pop it up on the screen, I do have a referral code. If you want to get started using Passiv, you'll be saving a percentage on that total fee. I believe it's 25%. And so if you use that fee, you'll get started using Passiv at a discount from the regular $99. So Passiv, unfortunately, doesn't track movements of my money from my Wealthsimple cash account into my investing accounts. What it does do when I'm investing money from my external bank account into Questrade, it'll show that as a deposit. Or if I was to transfer money from an external account into Wealthsimple, it would show that as a deposit. But when I transfer money, because our cash account is in Wealthsimple, it doesn't register that for some reason. I've reached out to Passiv, and I must admit I'm slightly disappointed with their customer service, but I'm hoping that they can redeem themselves here. I actually received an email from them this morning, and they're looking at the issue because it is a bit frustrating to show that we've only had 27,000 in contributions. That number is incorrect. In the next video update, I'm working on a spreadsheet that will show all the contributions that have been made to make this particular functionality in Passiv accurate. Okay, total account up to $281,401. Now that was as of the last day of July. This is July, so the beginning of July to the end of the July. That's what we're showing because we're now into August. Now I did set up a target of where I'd like to get myself or my wife and I as far as retirement goes, and you can see it here on the screen, another great part of Passiv. So I've set that target and we're moving towards it. We're 56% of the way there, and that's based on my entire portfolio as far as what we will need in retirement, including other income that we may have at the end. Okay, so I have 5 separate accounts. The first one is my spousal account, and the second one is my TFSA. The third one's my RRSP. Then we have our kids' TFSA. Yes, that's right. I'm trying to teach my kids things that I didn't learn when I was younger. I want them to get started investing really early in life so they can benefit from that compounding over time. And the last account is my wife's RRSP. Investing for me started in April of 2023. So I am still relatively new at this, with lots of lessons learned, and you can check out lots of videos that I've done about those lessons. Again, that's my motto, is to share things as I learn them to help you guys out in your investing journey. So we're going to start off in that spousal account. The spousal account, let me explain that briefly. It's held with Questrade, and the upside of Questrade is that we get that passive subscription, so it doesn't cost me anything to use that. That is one added benefit. They have a lot of metrics built into Questrade, so that's also a bonus. One of the downsides is that it does charge me fees when I'm selling ETFs, not buying, or if I'm buying single stock securities, I'll be charged when I purchase and when I sell. Now, the reason that I kept this account over with Questrade is because Wealthsimple does not offer support for spousal account. Now, let me explain what a spousal account is. So the way it works is I open it in my name, I make a contribution to it, but the beneficiary is my wife. So I make slightly more money than her, although I must admit it's not a great deal, but to balance that off, I make some contributions into the spousal account. I get the tax credit right now, but she will draw that money down later in life, and of course it will be drawn down at a lower tax bracket, saving us on some taxes. So that's how a spousal account works. If you don't have one, you may want to look at it. It might be helpful for your portfolio or in your situation. So the spousal account's currently sitting with our asset allocation at 78% accurate. What's asset allocation? Great question. I did a video on it. It's popping up here on the screen. You should watch it to figure it out. But in essence, all we're doing is allocating a certain percentage of our funds that are being put into our account into each security. So right now, the accuracy of this is 78%. I have been making a lot of changes of recent to the asset allocation that I set up, because when I first started investing, took the shotgun approach and kind of bought a myriad of different things, and I'm realizing now what I like and what I don't like, and so I set this asset allocation up, and we're trying to achieve compliance with that asset allocation. So right now we have $27 sitting in there in Canadian cash, as well as $18 in US. This account's broken into Canadian and US funds, and because it's an RRSP, I'm very heavy on the US funds in this account. Okay, the total value of this account is $76,111 as of today. Now, contributions into this account, as I said, they're not large. As I said, the focus right now is to max out my TFSA. So what we did is our tax return, I took that money and I invested it in my wife's RRSP, a small amount, and the majority into this account. So the contributions into this account came from our tax return, and we're going to do that every year until we retire. Now here's a quick snapshot of the accuracy part of the spousal RRSP. You can see we start at the top. We have VU, IEMG, XEQT, XEI, AVUV, AVDV, and so on and so forth. The blue number is the target that I set. So of all the contributions or money in that account, I want 30% of it dedicated to being invested in VU. And right now, of the money that's invested, 27.6% of it is allocated to VU. IEMG is the one that we're working on. The target is 16%. It's only 7%, so we're basically a little under halfway there. We're working towards that. XEQT is at 12%. We're at 11.2%, so we're on par. And that's what I love about setting up an asset allocation and Passiv. They work together. Passiv sees the money that comes into the account, and then it tells me what I should be investing in. So in this case, it's looking at the fact that we have a little bit of money, and it's suggesting that we buy 1 share of QQQY. So again, a great added benefit of Passiv. Okay, jumping over into the kids TFSA, again, what's the focus here? Trying to teach the kids how to manage their money. Number one lesson that I taught them is the 20, 30, 50% split. That's the one that I'm using. You may or may not find that helpful, but I do. How does that work? Of the money that they receive from allowances or whatever other income they get, which would be similar to you as an investor, is 20% of it must go to investing, 30% goes to savings, and the other 50% goes to general revenue so they can spend that on whatever they like. So we have in this case, a investing account set up. Now, ideally, I'd like to have these set up in their names in trust, but I haven't got there yet, so stay tuned because that's probably going to be coming in the future. 30% goes to savings. I have a savings account set up. Now, we are switching from the big bank over to Wealthsimple. But Wealthsimple doesn't support this kind of stuff for our kids, so we've opened up a similar account with EQ Bank because EQ Bank offers a lot of the great benefits that Wealthsimple does. So we've got a savings account set up for them over there. And then finally, they have their general bank account, which is also with EQ Bank because I can't set one up in Wealthsimple for them. So when they get money, 20% to investing, 30% to savings, and 50% into general revenues. This account right now is 99% accurate. There's only 1 cent sitting in this account, and the total for it is $1,511. So here's a quick snapshot of this account. It has a small amount of securities. Remember, it's a small account right now, and it's used to teach the kids. So ZSP, S&P 500, XEQT, all in one. XEI, which is a monthly high yield income fund. Plaza REIT, which is a Canadian REIT. HYLD, a covered call. And then finally, we have a single stock position of Manulife. So let's look at accuracy. Target blue again, actual green. So 45% target was we want for the S&P 500. We're at 44.5%. XQT 30%. We're at 29.5%, and so on and so forth, as you can see down. So we are right on top of this account from day one, and this account is obviously growing over time. All right, into my wife's RRSP. The accuracy for the asset allocation is 83% in this account. There's $4.50 in Canadian, $7.77 in US. These amounts are basically too small to invest in anything. Now, because it's a Wealthsimple account, I could do fractional buys, which is an added benefit of Wealthsimple. But right now, that cash is just sitting there. The total account is $150,728. And you can see here a quick breakdown of the different funds, at least in the top part of this account that we have going on. Again, 29% of VU, we are bang on. We got 29% accuracy. And you can see then as you roll down which ones need funds added to them. Again, making changes to these accounts. Now what we're going to do is we're going to jump over into the activity tracker within Passiv, and we're going to look at all of the activity in each of these accounts through the last months, which will include the dividends, any buys that I made, any money conversions, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now I'm shooting this video on August the 14th, as you can see by the date at the top. But the nice thing about Passiv is I can go back in time with their activity tracker and I can actually look at activity in a specific period of time. So let's walk through that step real quick so you can see how it works. We go down to the bottom, we go to reporting, it opens up. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to close the window on the left. Then we're going to select the account. We're going to start off with the spousal account. We're going to go up to custom and we're going to select the custom dates. So right now we were looking at July, so July 1st. And then of course we're going to go over to July 31st. We hit apply. We hit apply, and then it's going to go through a series of checks and it's going to pop up the activity for the last month. So we're going to start off with our contributions. So this account here, the net contributions to this account are $7,700. This one is accurate because all the money that was added to it was done from an external source, so it did track those. We've been making contributions into this account for the last 11 months. The net change or the growth in this account is $17,644. The rate of return on this account is 16.2%. As of the time that in July, things were super hot, and you can see by the bar graph, there's a light blue line. That's the amount of money that was put into the account, and the green line shows the amount of growth in the account. So you can see that back in November they were close to each other, but of course, as time goes on and compounding takes place and these different funds grow, they get further apart. So you can see here that the investment growth is $9,944. Right now, we're making an average of $279 in dividends in this account. And the nice thing about Passiv, again, is it shows you the dividend history. If we want to know what's going on in July, we just click on that and it'll show each of the securities for how much dividends were produced from each. So at the top here, KO is Coke, we got $15, VOO paid out $73, and so on and so forth, and it shows us the total. And of course, you can see over time that this is growing. Now, you'll notice that back in January, we were at $380, and yet in March, we're only $350, and here in June, we're at $347. The reason for that is that as I make changes, previously I had a lot of monthly income coming into this account, these accounts from both the dividend perspective, and I wanted to change that a little bit. I was really heavy on a lot of covered calls, and I didn't see the advantage of that because I'm not ready for retirement. Now, that might not be true for you. If you're older and you're actually really close to retirement, you may want a lot of monthly income, so you might actually change and have more monthly generating funds as opposed to ones that just grow with a steady dividend. An example of that would be VOO. And of course, I'm diversified into international ETFs as well. Not just focused, say, on Canada. Now, if you're really young, you may want to stick to growth funds and then look at the sort of monthly generating income funds back when you get to retirement. So you can see fees and commissions. Like I said, Questrade charges fees and commissions. We've paid $194 in that period of time, not just in July, but in total. Okay, so we're at the activity side. We're going to look at this performance. So we're going to change this to July the 1st. And of course, we want to see the end of the month, which would be July the 31st. We're going to hit apply. It's going to load up all of the activity just for the month of July, just in the spousal account. A great benefit of Passiv is that I can look at each account, the activity that's taken place, and I can organize it and look at it in various views. So we're going to reverse the view in this account starting from the first of the month, and we're going to work backwards. So the first thing we can see is that we had Coke payout at $11.16. Now this account, I do have some drip set up. What's a drip? Money comes in from a dividend. It's automatically reinvested back into that security. But because of the fees that Questrade charges, I actually want to move some of this money myself. So I don't have all the drip set up right now. But stay tuned for that because that's probably going to change in the future. So you can see here we had a purchase of XEQT of $61. We also had a purchase of QQQY of $14 and IEMG of $53. Moving down, we made a contribution of $850. Subsequent to that, we had a number of dividends payout. VNQ, which is a American or US fund REIT ETF, paid out $2.07. I started this position somewhat recently and I'd like to build it. Again, I'm focusing on more American funds than Canadian funds. Then we had VOO payout $53, QQQY $44, HYLD $87, REI paid out $7, and VRA paid out $3. So then you can see that those funds were then reinvested at $931. So I bought XEQT, that's the all-in-one fund. Again, moving down, we made a purchase of IEMG, which is international emerging markets. We spent $54 there. We bought HYLDU. This is a covered call strategy. So we bought $43 of that. Then O paid out $6.05. And you can see here, DLR.TO. Well, what's DLR.TO? Because it's not part of my asset allocation. This is how you convert money within Questrade, and it's a great way to save fees. If you want to learn more about that, I did a video of it. It'll pop up on the screen here. I highly suggest you click on it because it will help you save money, and investing is definitely all about saving money. So I converted funds from Canadian funds to US funds using the Norbert Gambit method, which can only be done with the brokers I use in Questrade. All right, so I sold off HYLD, a fairly large portion of it. I was somewhere around 8 to 10% of my portfolio in this particular covered call, and it is performing well. But the thing is, HYLD has no real upside, where a lot of stocks have growth over time as well as some dividends. HYLD pays out a high yield dividend, but not much on the growth side. So I wanted to invest that money into other securities to watch it grow. So I sold off, and we made $702 and $2,830 combined together. And then, of course, we then converted that money. And I took that money and invested it into AVUV, IEMG, and QQQY, AVDV. AVDV and AVUV are small cap funds. So the way I would describe that is Apple has been around for a long time, does really well. But when is the stock going to slow down? And at some time, a long time ago, a stock like Apple was an up-and-comer. So I have money invested in the companies like Apple and Google, which are doing really well, but I also wanted to hedge some bets against some smaller companies, and these ETFs cover that off with AVUV and AVDV. As well as, obviously, we have some emerging markets around the world with IEMG, diversifying myself as well. And then, obviously, I have some covered calls. In this case, that would be QQQY. Lastly, Disney paid out $9, SVOL paid out $10.20, XEI paid out $41, and TD paid out $29. And again, that money would then be reinvested as it sits in my account. So as of July 31st, we did have some money sitting in that account. You'll have to check out the next video update to see what I did with that money. Okay, so we're going to change things up. We're going to jump over into the kids TFSA, and we're going to look at the same metrics to see what was going on in that account in the month of July. Jumping right over onto the activity side. Again, we're going to reorganize it from the top of the month working backwards. Now, the way the kids count is set up is there are two ways that I'm making contributions to this account for them. One is money that they earn, whether it be through their allowance or let's say they go, my daughter's getting old enough to babysit, so she earns some money in that regard. Then they have to take that money and put it into these accounts, which includes investing. Again, it's 20% that they have to invest. At the same time, my wife and I are also helping them out by contributing small amounts, and that amount is increasing by $1 every month right now. The target I'd like to get to is $25 a month. We're currently in the month of July. As you can see at the top here, the contribution was $20. And as I described, when I move money within Wealthsimple from the cash account to the investing account, it doesn't register at a deposit, unfortunately. We're working on a resolution to that with Passiv. So you can see at the top, the first thing was a buy within the kids' account of $20. So for the month of July, every Monday we invested $20 into that account. And because Wealthsimple can do fractional buys, we took advantage of that. So we bought a fractional share of XEI. We also had $2.95 that we invested into XEQ, and we had XEI. Those two amounts are dividends that were paid out in the previous month that were then reinvested because I have DRIP set up. So then you can see here that ZSP paid out 9 cents, and then we have stock loan on because it's a TFSA. So it wasn't just 9 cents. You can see here where we bought $1.62 of ZSP, that was the total dividend that was paid out. The next purchase was ZSP. Again, there's that $20 monthly or Monday contribution. Then we had HYLD pay out 59 cents. And again, you can see that was then invested back into that holding through DRIP. The following Monday was another $20 we bought into ZSP. And keep in mind, I'm using that asset allocation model in order to determine where I want that money to go. Plaza REIT paid out 24 cents, but that was not the total, as you can see, because the total reinvestment was 40 cents. For whatever reason, again, Passiv doesn't track the manufactured dividend, because that's what happens is when I'm loaning stocks out, and on the back end, when you loan stocks out, you actually get paid a little bit of money back into the account as well for loaning them out. The following week was $20.12 went into XEQT. And $12.48 into ZSP. Now that little bit of extra money is our kids taking our pop bottles in. I did a short on that. I'll pop it up on the screen. But if you're looking for a great way to motivate your kids to be responsible, then pop bottles are the way to do it. You guys probably take your pop bottles, fire them off into the recycling, and never see them again, but they're worth money, and it's a great way to teach your kids how to manage that money. So that $12.48 was actually money that came from them returning pop bottles. And then lastly, we had XEI pay out 97 cents. So we'll jump back over to the other side of the performance and see the total dividends. Jumping back over onto the performance side, we can see that slowly over time we've been increasing in dividends, and then there's a sharp change in April because that's when I started making changes to all of the accounts. As I said, I was very heavy on the monthly income and wanted to look at more growth stocks. So in the month of July, we had a total of $1 in dividends paid out, and that will continue to grow over time. So general metrics of the account, we have $1,370 in contributions. You can see in June and July, again, Passiv doesn't register it. Let's hope they can fix that. Net change $1,578, rate of return 16%, investment growth $208, average monthly income right now is $5, and fees and commissions are zero because Wealthsimple has no fees and commissions. And total dividends earned in the account to date are $72. All right, lastly, let's jump over into my wife's RRSP and we'll have a look at what's going on in that account. So we're going to jump right into the activity side. We're going to make sure we got our dates right, July 1st to July 31st. We're going to hit apply, make sure that it's updated, and then we're going to change the order again to look from start to finish. All right. So we had some dividends that were in the account previous to July 1st, which is that $53.57 and $42.20, which were invested into SCHD and Coke. We had Coke payout $42.20, which you can see they're a bit reversed. So the dividend came in but was registered after the purchase that was made. Now that's a dividend reinvestment. So the dividend's paid and it automatically gets reinvested. And then you can see there again, SCHD, same thing. It paid out $53.57, which was a reinvested back into that fund. Same thing here with SVOL. TELUS, same thing, $44.75. That was reinvested back in. As well as XEQT, XEI, and CNR. Those are all reinvestments of the dividends that were paid out. VU paid out $111. QQY paid out $19.35, again, drip reinvested. All the way down, YTSL paid out $66.12, again, dripped right back in. CNQ, $10.50, again, dripped back in. There's the VU drip reinvestment. Carrying on down, REI paid out $20.55, HYLD $30.50, HYLD.U $11.30, and VRE paid out $1.10. There are all the drips being reinvested back into all of those funds. SRU paid out $3.26 and Plaza Rio paid out $1.10. Both of those reinvested back in. ATD paid out $4.20, again reinvested back in. So quite a bit of activity as far as dividends in this account. No real changes took place. I didn't alter anything this month in that account. Stay tuned next month because there will be some changes. Jumping over to the performance side. Net contributions $2,600. That's not correct. Again, I won't go through that explanation. We're working on that with Passiv. Net change $13,719. The rate of return in this account's 8%. The investment gross $11,000. And our average monthly dividends are $278. You'll see a big change in the dividends. I had part of my wife's RRSP in Wealthsimple and part in Questrade, joined them up. That's why all of a sudden the dividends started jumping up. So for the month of July, the total payout was $508 into dividends into that account. And again, they're all on drip, so being reinvested back into those securities. Looking at the total dividend breakdown, HYLD at the top, it's a cover call, so that's no surprise. But remember, those cover calls, they don't pay out they don't have the upside or the growth that say other funds do, which would be the ones down at the bottom here like ATD. It's a dividend producing stock, but it doesn't pay out as much, say, as HYLD because the stock price is actually growing. Total dividends in this account, $3,664. All right, so we're going to jump over into the spreadsheet I keep, and we're going to show you all the dividend activity all around. Okay, because of some of the inconsistencies with Passiv, I do track everything on a spreadsheet. Now I'm using a Mac product. If you're on a Microsoft product, it might look slightly different, but this is what I use. So we're going to break down for the month of July. So the total dividends earned in all of my accounts since I started investing in April of 2023 are $15,187. The average right now is $1,265 per month. In 2024 so far this year, I've earned $8,203 in dividends, and we're averaging $683 a month. So we're going to look at the month of July here. My wife's RRSP paid out $670.95, so you can see there was a bit of a disparity between Passiv and what the actual payouts were. The spousal account paid out $355. My RRSP paid out $134 in dividends, and the TFSA $117. And lastly, the kids' TFSA $3.58. So if you made it this far in the video, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You guys are killing it, which is absolutely fantastic, but a lot of you are not subscribed. It only takes a second. Don't forget to hit the share, hit the like as well. And make a comment. Tell me what's going on in your portfolios. What are you doing for your summer? I always love to hear from you guys and hear what's going on. It's a community where we can share with each other. That's the whole purpose behind this. Of course, if you're not following me on Blossom, jump over to Blossom Social, check it out. You can see everything I'm doing with live trades real time when I do them. It's a great place to also share information. There's so many people on there. I believe it's well over 100,000 people now. It's a great place to learn from other investors and find information out real time about what's going on in the investing world. Now, if you're just starting out with your investing journey, I would highly recommend that you watch this video here.